What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Black Side of Liberty. It's your man, Governor Wildstar. What's up? What's up? This is a very, very special exclusive. I just had to jump in midweek to have this chat with you guys so we could talk about a little bit of what's going on in the mainstream media, the fake news, and we can break it down and actually get down to the bottom of what's really going on. You know how we do. We talk about things on the underground level, on the grassroots level, so we can get you the truth from the horse's mouth. You know what I'm saying? You can hear it unfiltered, unadulterated, and that's why we're here to have this chat about the Boogaloo movement. I know you guys have all heard about it before. We talked about it on my video, Looting and Cahooting on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out yet, please do. That's on my YouTube channel. If that's where you're watching, please check it out. Looting and Cahooting. We were talking about allies for the Black Lives Matter movement, breaking down Black Lives Matter itself, talking about Antifa, and I did mention the Boogaloo movement and touched on that briefly. So this right here, this briefing, is to break it down a bit more in detail so we can actually get down to the bottom of what it really is, why you should be inspired to hopefully get involved in it wherever you are, and why it is all about liberation and why it's a true movement that we could all get behind, no matter what your skin color may be, no matter if you are on the Black Lives Matter side or not. You know, you could jump in as a Boogaloo boy, but we're going to be talking about that much more in detail. But of course, like I always do, I want to let any and all of you know out there to please drop some comments during the broadcast, you know, about what we're going to be talking about here. If you have any questions, let us know. Speak up, say what's up, you know, and we'll talk a bit more in detail about that as well, hopefully. Let's see. I actually got a comment as we speak. Jason Lawless says, kill your masters, and then drop the link on us. I don't know what that's about, but Jason Lawless just dropped the link saying, kill your masters. Yeah, be the master of yourself. Who's the boss of you? If you can't answer that question by saying you own yourself, then you are okay with living like a slave. It doesn't matter what form that enslavement may come in, whether it's economic enslavement, whether it's physical enslavement, whether it's mental enslavement, you're okay with slavery. I do not condone slavery in any way, shape, or form, and neither should you. Hopefully, especially if you're about freedom of the individual. I also got Mukadix. I hope I said that right. Mukadix 98 said, what's up, y'all? What's up to you? And welcome to the Black Side of Liberty. All right, so with no further ado, and Devin Newsom says, why can't we get Lysol disinfected? This is what families need to clean our homes. This is a real issue. All right, so I don't give a damn about none of that Corona shit. Straight up, if you haven't done your homework to find out that it is not something that you should be afraid of, you know, more than any other, you know, cold out there that you may be to catch, or influenza, or whatever the case, then yeah, I'm not going to feed into the pandemic panic at all. You can find disinfectant wherever the case may be, or better yet, make your own. And Jason Lawless says sick jam applies. I don't know what that means particularly, but yeah, we'll talk a bit more about those things later, hopefully. But I do want to talk to you guys about a specific situation that happened out in Missouri regarding the Boogaloo movement and Black Lives Matter, because it was reported as a clash in the news about, you know, protesters going out there, you know, chanting Black Lives Matter. You know what they do. And then this right-wing extremist group, as they painted them in the mainstream media news, came out there to actually march alongside them, believe it or not. But these right-wingers were armed to the teeth. And we have a picture of that here. I'm going to share that with you. Here it is right here. Packing heat, man armed with a bazooka came out with as armed protectors marched with Black Lives Matter group. So as I was telling you guys before about allies, these are definitely allies right here. This man is willing to hit the streets with a damn bazooka and go to war, go to bat for we the people, then this is somebody that you want to align yourself with. You know what I mean? And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to reach out to this man himself and connect with the man. So I actually have Bazooka Man here, Rocket Man, George Crenshaw. Are you with me, George?
That I am. How are you doing, Governor?
Oh, I am fantastic, brother. I'm just flipping through graphics here and shit like that. I did my best to introduce you to the people as much as possible, but I'm still getting to know you my damn self. So if you could introduce yourself to the people out there, Rocket Man. Who is George Rocket Man Crenshaw?
George Crenshaw is just my personal Instagram account, if you will, my name. I made it to kind of protect my identity as much as I already let it out after this whole Florissant incident. Really, I'm just out here. I'm trying to show that the Boogaloo movement isn't what the mainstream media is really pointing it out to be. And that's really about it.
I'm actually glad that you're doing that because it's been a lot of misinformation in the news. And like I said, they've been painting you guys as a bad guy. But to me, in my eyes, I see you guys as being like my hero. Even I got Jason Lawless right here saying this dude is my hero. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure there are people out there to feel the same way that I do, to feel like, man, you must have balls of steel to go out there and align yourself with someone, I guess, a group, a movement that's being depicted in the news as being violent, as being anti, any other message other than something that's a promoting of, Black Lives Matter or whatever the case. But you put all bullshit aside to go out there and stand with your fellow man. And like I said, that definitely takes cojones. And I don't know if you heard about, what's his name? Whiskey Warrior 556. Yes. That was actually my first introduction to the Boogaloo movement. Happened last, I think around January last year or something like that. So have you heard about that, the Whiskey Warrior 556 guy?
Yes. So actually, Whiskey Warrior 556 was one of the bigger people that I can recall in the Boogaloo movement when it was starting to really become a thing. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of speculation behind what was going on, and we really don't even still know the true story. But it's still, a lot of it is up in the air. So I just kind of let it be. But there was a lot of stuff about him that we kind of brought into our movement, like a lot of social media, live streaming, stuff like that. So at least our friends in the community can still be in touch and aware of what's going on at any moment.
Right. And that's why I think it's important to let people know who you are, because like I said, I didn't know about the movement or those people involved, their mindset, any of that before this Whiskey Warrior 556 guy came along. And the news then even tried to paint the guy as some psycho, some right-wing nut, that was going out here trying to cause chaos in the streets and was anti-government, anti-American, whatever they wanted to say, to make him seem like he was a bad guy. But looking into him more, you end up finding out he seemed like a pretty classy guy, and somebody respectable, and I believe a military veteran, someone who served this country respectably, So he was assaulted upon for a red flag gun law or gun violation. If you guys haven't heard about it, definitely look it up. But that's why I wanted to ask you, more about who you are. That way, if anything ever happens in the news, God forbid, you know what I'm saying? I pray all for the best for you and all of your loved ones. But, you never know what happens in this war for freedom. You know what I mean? So getting out there about who you are is very important, especially when you don't have a digital imprint that is public,
So I've tried to scrub a lot of my personal information just to keep anybody, like friends and family, out of my professional stuff when it comes to Boogaloo stuff.
Right.
Talking about myself a little bit, I won't give details or specifics about things, but I came from the East Coast. I joined the military. I was stationed in Missouri for a little under 4 years, and then I got out and I lived in Missouri now, or I live in Missouri currently, and I've, over social media and Facebook and all that kind of stuff, I started finding all the Big Luau, Big Igloo, Boogaloo stuff, and it really caught my attention because a lot of it was things that I aligned with personally, politically, stuff like that. And after I really started looking into it, and this is back in like 2019, not when it first started, I think 5 or something years ago. I'm not sure on that. I was kind of late to the party concerning everybody else that was there, but my views and whatnot were just as strong as everyone else's.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about kind of what's happening right now is a lot of people are evolving with regards to their political views or even just like social views, etc. Because it can be very, one-sided or even just like a tunnel vision, so to speak. But you open your eyes to the broad spectrum of what's really going on, who's really the villain here, and who we all should be opposing, united as a front, then that's when you really turn your focus on the true enemy, So I guess the first thing I should ask you is the most obvious thing. Why the hell would you bring a bazooka to a gunfight? Because that's just some madness ass shit. I know you call yourself the rocket wielding madman, you know what I mean? But damn, that's just crazy, man.
So my take on bringing the AT-4, which is the actual model of recoilless rocket launcher, the whole point of it was to show that our movement, we want Second Amendment rights of any kind for everybody that wants them. So that's kind of like hey, I want to have a rocket launcher, so I'm going to, and I'm going to show you that I will, and if I need to, I'll use it. Let's hope we don't.
That's like some ultra libertarian shit, man. That shit geeks off libertarians.
Oh, I know.
Pro 2A people all together, man, because it's like talk is talk, bullshit walks. And it's a lot of people that walk the walk, and you're definitely one of them. And when it comes to being able to exercise your Second Amendment rights, being able to, protect yourself by any means necessary, that's like almost at the epitome of it, other than like a nuclear weapon or a tank or some shit like that. So
we're working on that still.
Right? We'll get there. If you vote Joe Jorgensen, she, will definitely reverse some shit. We'll see what she can do versus the other two parties. But you're right. It's like some ultra libertarianism. That's what more so it seems like the Boogaloo movement is panning out to be.
Yes.
So if you could clarify, what is the Boogaloo movement? I mean, you hear about like the igloo and the shirts and being paramilitary or whatever the case may be. There's all sorts of rumors out there. So if you could clarify any bit of it, it would be much appreciated.
Yep. So I might get a little bit of flack from the community because everybody in the community is a little bit different from each other, but we all have the same kind of mindset. So the whole movement is based around, now the mainstream media got this wrong where they said that we're super far right and perpetuating a race war and another civil war. Mm-hmm. Now, the first American Civil War was about the North and the South fighting against each other, mostly over slavery. But let's be honest, we don't care about fighting other Americans. We want to make sure that the government is in check. So it's not the Boogaloo name comes from the movie. I can't even remember the movie right now. I'm drawing a blank, but something to Electric Boogaloo. The guy's name was Boogaloo. But so we went to Revolutionary War to Electric Boogaloo. That was kind of like the first ever mention of the word Boogaloo in our movement. So it's not a second civil war. It's not a race war that we want to perpetuate. We want to in case a tyrannical government, which ours is getting pretty close to being, we want to make sure that we as a people can stand up against the government like they did back in 1776 with the British. So it's a revolutionary war too.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I've been telling people also. I'm like, this ain't a race war. This is not a civil war. This is a new American Revolutionary War.
Exactly.
And us against a tyrannical government, whether it's red or blue, right or left, whatever the case may be, it does not align with a free, independent people, which is what we are. You know, if we are going to be in control of our country, right now we're not seeing that happen. We're not seeing it happen through the coronavirus lockdown. We're not seeing it happen through, political justice reform or criminal justice reform through the political system. So it's not serving us any purpose at this point. And the Declaration of Independence says, hey, if you don't like your government, it is your duty to get rid of that government and institute one that, we see fit. So you would think that more people would be on board with what you're talking about. And because that's not, again, articulated in the news through the mainstream media, that's why the misinformation kind of wins over the masses. So hopefully more people look into the Boogaloo movement and, to what you guys are doing.
Yes. So the whole thing with Wikipedia, actually, because a lot of people draw information from Wikipedia, it's kind of a good thing. It's kind of a bad thing. But Wikipedia was one of the first ones to label us as an alt-right, white supremacist group, a race war perpetuating group. And that is totally not the case.
Right. And you're right. A lot of people do turn to Wikipedia as like a online encyclopedia that, the majority of people turn to for resource or, to do their research. And to have such a respectable, I guess, media source available that's providing misinformation to people and, again, not telling the truth, it begs to reason that there's something going on there with regards to them wanting to keep us away from unifying,
Exactly.
Because you see that happening right now with you guys going out there and actually providing protection for Black Lives Matter protesters. That's actually what you guys are doing, right?
Yeah. So going with that, our very first protest that we went to, the whole People's Protection Unit that we have going on right now, it was kind of shamed at first. So our very first one, we didn't know at all what we were doing, stuff like that. We were actually in Ferguson, St. Louis area during one of the nights of the protest. And that was actually when it started turning into riots, and tear gas ended up being popped that night. Me and my squad, we all ended up kitting up just away from the area. But we didn't actually get into the area after that because there was so much going on. There was so much chaos. We just kind of had to back off a little bit. We were very underprepared for the situation. Fast forward up to, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks ago, we saw that there was a protest posted on Facebook for Black Lives Matter in the town of Fredericktown. It's in like southeastern Missouri. We were a lot more prepared to deal with the protest, but we weren't actually interested in going to the protest. The thing is we saw that it posted, but we were like, yeah, they're probably doing their thing. They probably don't want us there. And then we saw a counter protest post saying about, all the townspeople or Trump lovers, whatever you want to call them, as well as the 3% militia guys. They were actually there. They were posting about they wanted to be armed, I guess, security, and basically taking over the police's job in being armed around the protest. And the posts were actually talking about them being on the side of the counter protest. So us as a group collectively decided that we saw that the counter protesters were going to be armed or have people that were armed. So we wanted to show up and show support for the Black Lives Matter movement that was going to be going on down there and give them armed support. We got down there. We spoke to the organizer of the protest, the actual guy that made the group post and everything, and he was all on board for it. He wanted us there. He wanted us to help out, and we built a good relationship with him and all his leadership there. And so now they have us as their, I guess, private security group.
Wow.
But but also I've also seen that people have been saying that the Black Lives Matter movement is paying us to do this, or we're being funded by like George Soros. One of the funniest things was that George Soros had bussed or trained all the Black Lives Matter people in from Oregon or something like that, and there was like the closest train station was like 2 towns over or something. It was ridiculous, but there's a mutual respect. We want to respect the Black Lives Matter movement, and we want to respect the people using their First Amendment right, and we want to help protect them with our Second Amendment. Going from that Fredericktown one, we have been getting a lot of requests for protection. We actually have some people in Louisville in Kentucky asking us to be down there and help them, which is really huge. Like, we're not prepared for that because that is a big deal. One of our guys, Not Your Enemy Actual, he's one of the dudes that was down there who you can see him shaking hands with one of the Black Panther Party members or leaders. He was down in Louisville at that time during one of those protests, and he's like, yeah, not just yet. I've also had some people in Virginia ask us also, as well as California. Some people have asked us to be there. But so we've been stacking up all these different protests that people want us to go to or help out with, and we've just kind of been staying local to more of the eastern side of Missouri, because that's where it seems a lot of local groups are requesting us to be there and are actually doing protests. And then there was one that we were supposed to go to with that same group from Fredericktown, but they ended up canceling, I believe, because of the weather. It was supposed to be really bad. But up in Florissant, which is where obviously my profile picture is and where that news article is from, that was still going on, and it had rained earlier in the day, and at that time you could see in the picture it's overcast, so it was actually really nice. Someone had asked us to be there. It was one of the organizers. I wasn't in contact with them. It was one of our liaisons for their group, and they asked us to come up there, and so we were like, hey, might as well. We've got nothing else to do because our other one was canceled. So we came. We showed up and we helped out with them for as much as they wanted us to, as much as we could.
So it sounds more so like, Rocket Man, that the Boogaloo movement is decentralized. It's mainly a bunch of liberty-loving, freedom fighters that have took it upon themselves to kind of galvanize, mobilize, and provide protection for those people out there, like you said, exercising their First Amendment rights by you guys exercising your Second Amendment rights. So it's a display of freedom of rights more than anything.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, cool. Because it's a lot of people that's their main concern. Is are they a threat? Should I be afraid? Especially when, you running around here with a bazooka and shit. So, that strikes a lot of people's concern. And I actually picked that up a lot during, I guess, the protest when this situation first happened, or more so, I'll take you even back further. Back when the reopen protests were happening and you had the armed protesters going out, marching on state capitals, they were mainly predominantly white people. And when the Black Lives Matter protests happened, the call, I guess, was, well, why doesn't those same armed white guys come out and protect us or march along with us? Mm-hmm. You guys actually did that. So, you just shattered that whole argument. And I even myself was advocating for a show of solidarity by both groups. So I appreciate, you guys actually doing that. because it takes the heat a lot off of what's going on, and it kind of kills their narrative. That's what we want to do. And that was actually one of the things that I was going to ask you was, how did Black Lives Matter accept your allyship? And, you know, ever since then, like you said, it's kind of been flourishing. So do you see that actually growing and developing? I mean, what's the connection there?
So with the BLM, the local BLM group in Southeast Missouri, I believe that they are Black Lives Matter supporters. I don't believe that they are actually directly affiliated or direct members of the legitimate Black Lives Matter organization. Not to say that they're not Black Lives Matter, they are, but I don't believe that they are like full organization Black Lives Matter members. If they are, then they are. The thing is, we are not, us as a group, we are not Black Lives Matter, but we support Black Lives Matters, want to reach out to their communities, reach out to the nation, and say their piece.
Right, absolutely. And have an opportunity to hopefully end these police shootings of unarmed civilians, you know, not only against people of the Black community and Hispanic community, but the white community as well. I mean, we have an authoritative government that is enforcing a police state upon us, and they don't mind using violence and the means of aggression against us. But Lord have mercy, you know, if we happen to exercise that same freedom against them and have that same response. So yeah, with Black Lives Matter as a general, in general, you're right. As far as the organization, the people that are inspired by the message of it, the supporters on the grassroots level, they aren't really associated with those in the Black Lives Matter Foundation, you know, that establishes chapters. They only have 14 chapters, I believe, nationwide, but there's hundreds of associated groups, you know, loosely. So anybody out there that can, you know, supportive of the Black Lives Matter message can go out there and, I guess, galvanize and group together those people that are supportive of that message. So there is a distinction. So I'm glad that you actually pointed that out as well, because a lot of people don't have that true distinction, you know, or understanding of that at all.
Mm-hmm. I did want to quickly say one thing when it comes to the Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter versus Blue Lives, that kind of like debate. My personal feelings about Black Lives Matter is, and just hear it out for a second. All the time, all lives matter. But when something happens to the Black community, Black Lives Matter. When something happens to the Asian community, Asian lives matter. When something happens to the Latino Hispanic community, Latino Hispanic lives matter. When something happens to the white community, white lives matter. It's a collective of everybody. But we saw with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, those were two Black people that were just notable people as of this moment, that were wrongly murdered for whatever. You know, Breonna Taylor was sleeping with her boyfriend during a no-knock raid where the police just opened fire on the house. George Floyd, you know, the story goes that he had a fake $20 bill. He was put in cuffs, ripped out of his car, put in cuffs, and was put on the ground, and he was choked out by an officer's knee. You know, that's murder, regardless of what you say. That's murder. And but then you have Duncan Lemp. Now he was a very big he's a very big name in the Boogaloo community, because he was a part of the Boogaloo movement, and he was trying to work on a website or a social media, if you will, for the Boogaloo community, a social network. And he was killed in a red flag raid. He was a white man. He was shot. He was with his sleeping, and I think it was about 3 a.m. He was sleeping in bed with his pregnant girlfriend, and the Maryland, I don't remember what county it was. I believe the county SWAT or whatnot. They had descended upon his house and had shot through his bedroom windows and killed him and injured his girlfriend. in the middle of the night while they're sleeping. You know, he wasn't armed and ready for action like Whiskey Warrior was. You know, he wasn't out committing a crime. He was sleeping in his bed, just like Breonna Taylor was.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually brought to light that story as well, or did my best to through my social media outlets, you know, when it first happened, when the story first broke. And it's kind of like a buildup, you know, it's like people don't really understand the bubbling up of I would say just people being pissed off and having had enough. You know, it kind of bubbles up, and we saw that happening over the last few months during the coronavirus lockdown, because as this happened, you know, early April or whatever the case may be, over those first few months, you still saw police officers going out there and killing unarmed civilians, like what you brought up with Duncan Limber, like Breonna Taylor and others. The list goes on. So we saw this happening to our brothers and sisters in the community, and us feeling disabled because we're also being told to stay home, not go outside, you know, all of this other stuff. So when the George Floyd killing happened, and you know, the Black Lives Matter Foundation was able to muster up some protests nationwide, I think that's what kind of got things going to where people were like, okay, let's just finally go out here and do what we can to eradicate the situation in every way possible. So the one thing that I do want to ask you is, because you brought up the whole all lives matter thing, and what you actually spoke on was more unifying than a lot of people that say all lives matter actually, you know, I guess are able to get across. They really don't seem to understand that. And it's hard to kind of get that message across to them. So the one thing about this whole Boogaloo movement is that it's believed that it's a white supremacist movement, you know? So I just want to ask you flat out, for the record, are you a white nationalist? So the people out there can know. And yeah.
Well, I'm white. I mean, that's true. I'm definitely white looking at my skin, but I don't consider myself white or a white nationalist. I'm just a guy that wants to help out his fellow countrymen in whatever they want to do. That falls under their constitutional rights. Whatever they feel like they want to do, their First Amendment right, freedom of peaceful. It's freedom. Damn it! I can't remember the Constitution.
About freedom of what?
Freedom of assembly. There we go. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Freedom of assembly. You know, you can't stop people from freedom of assembly. It's our First Amendment right.
Absolutely.
Freedom of speech. You can't stop that. I can't stop people from supporting KKK. I'm not going to shoot them over it. Now, some people would want us to. I'm not going to shoot them over it because that is their First Amendment right to be supportive of that. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. But I'm not going to stump on their rights either. So it's kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to that right. But it's your right. It's your birth-given right.
Yeah, it's like people don't understand. You can have the freedom of expression. What you cannot have is the freedom to, you know, assault people.
Oh, yeah.
You become physically assaultive, you know, and verbally assaultive, and all of these assaultive factors. Then you have to deal with the ramifications, however they may come, whether it be people's, you know, feedback, or, you know, a actual, you know, legal response to where you're sued or so, or a physical response even in some situations. And it's like people don't understand, by being a nationalist, in believing in nationalism, you're simply just being an American. And it's sad that you have a lot of people that are using, I guess, the perceived white nationalism in a
right state,
defensive sense. Yeah, exactly. And then masking it as patriotism, when truly we are all nationalists. I'm a black nationalist. You know, I want to better the black community. I want to be able to, for us to be able to exercise our rights freely without any repercussions, such as the right to bear arms, which in the majority of the country, if a black man is carrying a gun, he's seen as a threat, you know, and police officers, law enforcement's mindset is to eradicate that threat immediately, which is why, you know, the majority of the time they paint it as, oh, he had a gun. That's why we had to kill him, you know? So you're right. For you to be a white man, doesn't matter, doesn't change you know, who you are as an American, to still want and desire these rights to not be infringed upon by of your fellow Americans, you know?
Correct. Like anybody that I come across, and a lot of the protesters that I've met, whether they be white, mixed, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever their ethnicity, their religion, their anything, you know, they're all great people, and I wouldn't want any of them to lose their ability to speak how they speak, what they want, or practice whatever they feel they want to practice, or own whatever they want to own. I'm not going to stop them from doing that. I just don't want them to hurt other people. I don't want me to hurt other people. I don't want the government to hurt people. I don't want anybody to hurt other people. We can be peaceful yet still armed. An armed society is a polite society, is what I feel, because the more guns the average person has, the less of a chance someone's going to go out and say, oh, I want to go shoot someone, or oh, I want to go rob someone. When everybody owns a gun, you know, you're probably going to think twice. Oh, wait, they probably own a gun. I probably shouldn't do that.
Right. And yeah, you're absolutely right. You're entitled to your opinion. You could still express yourself, but nobody likes a hater. Come on now. It doesn't matter what your, you know, skin color may be. Don't be a hater, you know. And if you're posing yourself as a threat to somebody, then yeah, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of that, period, no matter who you are. So it's sad that we can't come to that understanding and then just live free. But I think personally, the two-party system benefits off of dividing us racially. You know, it's the old divide and conquer. You know, as much as they want, as in any way that they can keep us divided and arguing with each other, then we can't come to the table and unite on what we agree on, which is getting rid of you know, authoritarian asses.
The duopoly of the Republican versus the Democratic, or conservative versus liberal, duopoly of that is they can control their side. The other side can control their side. So they always have control over these people. Yet if people on their own see that there's really not a difference between the two other than what they say, they will come together regardless of their quote unquote leaders of their party. They will come together and they will unite against those duopoly leaders. And then they will take over, as the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, all of that, kind of the first American Revolution was all about. You know, they wanted to make sure that we, the people, are the actual leaders of our country. We put people in these positions so that they have a job to do to help us, to support us, to represent us as a people.
Yeah,
not us to represent them.
Well, we've got my business. You know, it doesn't matter what I'm doing in the bedroom. It doesn't matter what I'm doing with my money. It doesn't matter if I have a license for my gun, or a license for my car, or a license to fish, or a license to have a business. That shouldn't matter. And government has gotten out of control, has gotten too big for its damn britches. And the only way to restrict it at this point is for us to revolt, you know, a revolution. And we can do it in a way to where it is peaceful. The libertarian philosophy revolves around the non-aggression principle, what you were talking about, you know, living and letting live, and pretty much just letting government have the single role of protecting or being an aider, aiding, providing body, would we need their protection? But really, the first responders to protect is to protect ourselves. So we need to have our natural right to protect ourselves recognized. We should not have that violated or encroached upon in any way, shape, or form. Right now, and of course, through anti-gun legislation, that's what they are doing, is limiting our right to protect ourselves. And if there were more armed people, we would definitely see less altercations, less community crime, and all of that good stuff. We would see a more peaceful society. But I do want to ask you that, because that actually leads me to my next question is, do you think a peaceful revolution is actually possible? Because I hear a lot on the streets from people that the only way to get rid of our tyrannical government is to physically, remove them and go in there and shoot them up and blow up buildings and, just chaos. But is a peaceful revolution, I mean, because personally, I say, hey, we can do it in a way through the voting system that exists today, which is why I run for office and, provide myself as an option for the people. But we don't see that happening right now through the electoral system, at least quickly enough to where people are getting those changes. So do you personally, and after what you've seen and heard in the community that you're in, that the United States can have a peaceful revolution, this peaceful new American revolution?
So I will say anything is possible, and that is true. I do believe peaceful revolution can be achieved. I do. Is it going to be as quick, as easy, and as effective as a violent one? No, but it is possible. It'll take a lot more time. It'll take a lot more things to fall into place for that to happen, but it can be done. A lot of that can happen with that third-party libertarian vote, because the libertarians don't have this one-sided argument. We want, here's a great one. One of my buddies says a lot. We want, or actually what I say a lot, sorry, his one, I don't remember it exactly. I want a gay couple to use their machine guns and rocket launchers to protect their marijuana farm that funds the local Planned Parenthood. I don't give a damn what anybody else does. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't mean I'm involved, but shit, you can do whatever you want. That's kind of like the philosophy. We want you to be able to do whatever you want, just as long as you're not hurting someone. And if we can get that as a larger part of the U.S. government with the libertarian vote, then it'll actually set into place more freedoms. Like you living out there in California, I know my AR-15 that I built, which is the one on my picture, is technically an illegal firearm there. It's illegal in, I believe, New Jersey, New York, and I think Washington as well, and probably a bunch of other states, just based on the furniture, the length, what style it is, how many bullets I have in my magazine, all that kind of stuff. So if we can get a president like Joe Jorgensen or whoever the next libertarian vote is, or any libertarian vote that wants to get rid of those gun laws, it'll end up unifying the entire, gun-wise, it'll end up unifying the nation in what we can carry. When it comes to the war on drugs, we want to get rid of the war on drugs because it's useless. It causes way more victimless crimes, especially gigantic amounts of victimless crimes in the Black community, based on some statistics I've seen recently. And voting libertarian is voting for a lot of these laws that are being put in place by both Democratic and Republican candidates. We want to get rid of those. We want you to be able to do what you want. So right. If you can do what you want, you're more likely to support that candidate and be free and be peaceful. And then the candidates will hopefully respect you as they should support you and change how the government is run.
Absolutely. They have an oath of office. They have a duty. and they have parameters of those responsibilities, which are limited by the Constitution. We have to remember that as the electing public, the powers that we give them can always be taken away. So you're absolutely right. The quickest, easiest way that we could do that this right now, this election, this election year, is to vote for the libertarian candidate who is advocating to institute constitutional carry and give we the people in certain states that don't recognize constitutional carry to get rid of those laws, abolish them, repeal them, fight them off in some sort of a way. And that's what I would do as governor of the state. I would make California constitutional carry state. It's one of the most anti-gun states in the union, and I would like to reverse that. But it's a matter of getting better representation, getting better leaders in office that are actually going to uphold their oath and respect we the people, our natural rights as human beings. So it's good to actually hear somebody like you speaking up for Rocket Man, because I want a damn rocket like that. I think you made a whole lot of guys out there want a damn rocket, probably some chicks too, want a damn rocket launcher and shit. So hopefully a lot of people will see what you're doing out there in Missouri and be inspired to start their own Boogaloo movement wherever they are, and get involved with those people that are ready to get rid of this government, exercise their Second Amendment rights along their way, just to show their government we're not fucking around. There's even some armed black militia group or militiamen out there right now called the Not Fucking Around Crew or something like that. Not Fucking Around Coalition. You guys should probably connect with them, you know what I'm saying? Because that would be a beautiful thing, is to see the two of you, all groups, all armed groups going out there and letting our government officials know that the military works for us. The law enforcement works for us. You, city official, state official, a federal official, government official, whoever you are, you work for us, we the people. And we're not going to take any type of infringement upon our rights whatsoever,
Another thing about that is free men don't ask permission.
You damn Skippy. Who the hell we asking permission from, I
don't need to ask anybody to own something when I can own it. I'm not incriminating myself by saying anything. I'm just saying, who is the government to tell me I can't have this? I feel like if I can buy it, I should be able to own it. If the government can buy it, if the government can have it, I should be able to own it. Anyone should be able to own it.
Right. And the best part is, like you said, hey, I'm the one giving you your job. Zach Williams said we pay their salaries for them to trample on our rights. Yeah, and we should stop paying them damn salaries if they are going to be trampling on our rights, because we shouldn't be allowing it. We shouldn't be paying these taxes. We shouldn't be paying any income tax. They're telling us they don't need to be taxing our income right now, since we're deemed non-essential, and the majority of the working class is out of work right now in America. So definitely exercise your rights. Do what this man right here is doing, George Rocket Man Crenshaw. Rocket Man in the house. Hey, I appreciate you for being on the black side of liberty, man, because I do my best to kind of just get all types of voices on this platform, using my medium to get the message out to the masses directly, So for someone such as yourself to actually take me upon my invitation to come on to the show, I appreciate you for following through, my man.
I appreciate you wanting me to come on a lot. Like when it comes to the Boogaloo movement and all of the Instagram pages that are about the Boogaloo movement or based on it, I am nowhere near big on Instagram when it comes to Boogaloo, when it comes to 2A rights, stuff like that. I'm just kind of a guy that got a lucky break with the media when it came to that picture and those couple of articles. And I kind of blew up within a week, but even still, I'm not nearly as popular as most of these other pages. So I was really glad that I was invited onto an interview and really talk about some of the stuff that we have.
Hey, like I said, man, I seen this picture of you standing in solidarity with the man that could be a brother of mine. You know what I'm saying? You definitely look like you could be a friend of mine. We got to meet someday, you know, so we can
get a rocket launcher.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Maybe I should come out there in Missouri one time so I can play around with it. But since California won't let me, you know, they're telling me, a grown-ass man, what the hell I could do. But
you can change that. You'll be able to change that. I believe in you.
Oh, yeah, for sure, brother, man. Hey, well, again, George Crenshaw, if you guys want to connect with Rocket Man, please check him out on Instagram, George Clooney's Erection. You might get some damn DMs about what the hell that's all about or some questions. So be prepared for that, brother, man, as well as an interview, hopefully again in the future. So thank you again for coming on the Black Side of Liberty, Rocket Man.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, pleasure. God bless you, man, and long live liberty.
Long live liberty.
All right, you guys, that again was George Rocket Man Crenshaw. You can check out that man. He broke down the Boogaloo movement for us as much as possible, as much as he possibly can, because like he told you, it doesn't really have a true spokesman. It's a decentralized movement. You could be a part of the movement, and if you like what he said, then take it upon yourself to start rebelling against this government, to start exercising your natural right to protect yourselves, and don't wait for anybody to tell you to do it. You do it your damn self, okay? That's what we're here to do, is to govern ourselves, to be an autonomous group of people living in peace and harmony, and it can be achieved through us arming ourselves to the teeth. That way we let anybody out there know we're not fucking around, and do not insult me or assault me in any way, shape, or form. But please check them out. Again, George Rocket Man Crenshaw on Instagram. And what I am doing here in California is I'm attempting to recall Gavin Newsom, recallgavin2020.com. We, the people of California, are doing our best to get his tyrannical ass out of office, hopefully get somebody like me in the office, or better yet, me my damn self. So please visit recallgavin2020.com. Find out more about how we can circulate this petition. We need damn near 3 million signatures to get him out of office. This is our third time's a charm. So let's do this, people. Visit recallgavin2020.com. Print out the petition. Please sign it and circulate it in your neighborhood now. And of course, if you are in any community where you guys haven't voted yet, any city or state, if you haven't had your primary yet, please, please, please be sure to vote Libertarian in that primary. The Libertarian candidate, Jo Jorgensen, could use those votes so she could get into the presidential debates coming in October or November, the case would be. But it's all about percentages. Help her get her voting percentage up so she can be invited into those debates, okay? And of course, if you like what I'm talking about here on the Black Side of Liberty, please come back. I'll be doing another show tomorrow. I just have to stop in midweek to talk to my man Rocket Man about this Boogaloo movement, which is why this Boogaloo briefing was so important. But please come back to our regularly scheduled show tomorrow, Thursday, where I'll be talking with Kevin Shaw, who is the chairman of the Libertarian Party of San Fernando Valley out here in California. So till next time, you guys, I'm going to get my ass out of here so I can feed my baby and shit. And you guys have a wonderful night. We'll talk more tomorrow, all right? I love you guys. Long live liberty. Peace.